Alright, everything should be working as planned. Sorry about the slightly slow start. I had a couple of little things I had to sort out. So yes, good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and Xenos of all ages, and for the final time, welcome to another Tactica Imperialis livestream with this background. I am leaving France on Friday. My academic exchange year is finally over. I had my last exam this morning, and that means I am done. I am completely done with this place, and I'm going to be out of here by the end of the week, just in time for Age of Sigmar 2nd edition. And on that note, there will be plenty to talk about in this stream regarding AoS 2, because of course there always bloody is. Particularly in this case, we've got the confirmation of the Stormcast and Nighthaunt Battle Tomes, which have been revealed, and they're going on pre-order next week, the week after AoS, well actually they're going on pre-order this week to come out next week, the week after AoS 2 comes out, and some of the stuff they've been showing us is just, what? It's amazing, it's genuinely amazing. So that's what we're going to be doing in this stream. I hope you all enjoy it and I hope you stick with me. Not sure how long we're going to go for, probably just a couple of hours like usual time, and then we will retire to the Discord as we so often do, and I'm hoping you all enjoy that stuff. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, so I'm just going to leave it. Stream hype, sound awfully happy. Yeah. There's a few reasons for that. Let's just say my feedback and critique letter that I've written for Université Grenoble that I'm going to be sending to the department when I leave is 4,000 words. Off my own back. The uni has not asked for feedback, and I'm giving them 4,000 words of feedback. That's what this year has done to me. And of course I get to go home, play AoS 2 with all of my friends, which is great. I get to see everybody again, which is just lovely. Oh yes, we've got night stuff as well. Yeah, that. I have heard of Animal, but I don't get what you're on about. As in, why you're making the comparison. That's what I'm getting at. I've heard of Annabelle. I'm not a complete idiot. Critique. I actually tried to keep it nice and measured because I don't want to just shower people and get a bad rep. But yeah. I will be using my Stormcast for the next few months when I get home because, well, they're already home actually. They're home before I am. They got home on Monday. But I will be using them because that's the biggest time for AoS 2. And with the Sacrosanct stuff coming out, I'm going to be getting Soul Wars. I'm splitting that with James, who is our death player. And I'm also going to be picking up probably a couple of the new heroes. Though I don't know how much Sacrosanct I'm going to get. I might just need to tinker for a bit. Because I want to start Daughters of Cain up again. So by the end of 2018, I want about 2,000 or 3,000 points of Daughters of Cain on top of my Stormcast. Yeah, we'll do something in the Discord later. I wanted to do a stream, and that's the best way to do it, as Pablo says. But another game, excellent. How'd you find it? And were you playing with AoS 2 rules? Because obviously the 18-page core book has been out for a bit now. So have you actually used AoS 2's rules, or were you still using AoS 1? Just curious. Yeah, I sort of skipped over the whole Renegade Knights because we talked about all that in Adeptus Podcastus, which you do not want to miss. Adeptus Podcastus comes out tomorrow on 40k Theories, and you're gonna want to watch it. Just, it's not as memey as the Snipe and Whip episode, but it's a really, really good episode, and I really hope you enjoy it. So go and watch that tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe to 40k Theories. If you're not, then what the flip are you doing? But make sure you do that. Maybe you'll hit the damn bell, and then you can go and watch Adeptus Podcast, because it's a really good episode, and we're super proud of it. A strongly worded letter, yes, let's go with that. It wasn't colourful, I didn't swear, because I very rarely swear anyway, but it wasn't colourful, it was stern. Marathi is going to be included in that, yes. I did the calculation, if I convert my Dark Riders over to Doomfire Warlocks, I've got a little bit less than 1k, so about 800 points of Daughters right now. So what I want to do is I want to get that up to sort of 2 or 3k, because, yeah, of course I do. Because Marathi, I love the Melisai, the Kinnarai. Now that I've actually looked at them, the Kinnarai look quite fun and usable, so I'd kind of want to give them a go. I want to build a Temple Nest, I want to build a Cauldron Guard. That would sort of be a nice place for me to leave off. Build a Temple Nest, build a Cauldron Guard, and then that would be the army, but that would be like probably 3,000 points even on its own. I mean, I've already got most of a Cauldron Guard. But yeah, I don't know. That's sort of the thought process I'm going with. Is like get a Cauldron Guard and a Temple Nest and Marathi, and that will be broadly the army. Because that will give me... It'll give me 2 units of Kinnerai, it'll give me 2 units of Witch Elves, I'll probably bulk them up. 4 units of Melisai, a Bloodrat Medusa, which I've already got. The Cauldron I've already got. The Avatar, if I made a Bloodrat Shrine instead, that I've already got. I've got a Slaughter Queen and a Hag Queen, which can be swapped in and on and off the Cauldron or Shrine or whatever. So that's the sort of thought process I've got. AoS 1 came out the day you played, was fun, but still lost. Unfortunate. Well, unlucky on the timing and unlucky on the result. I'm sure AoS 2 will not continue to have a 0% win rate for too long. So, yeah, I'm quite happy to just keep talking, or we can go and have a look at some stuff. Because the heroes of the Nighthaunt and the heroes of the Stormcast, although I'd rather start actually with the Battletome previews. So, that's what I'm thinking. Helverins. Are they Knights? Night Helverins? No. I can't remember what Helverins are. I know they're like a Forge World unit, but I can't remember exactly what they are. I can't remember if they're Knights or something else. Which is telling that my memory of... Well, to be fair, I very, very, very rarely buy Forge World. Like, the only Forge World I've bought for myself is Magnus. Is it just Magnus? Yeah, it's just Magnus. Kieran got me the Thousand Suns command set for Christmas, but the only Forge World I've bought for myself is Magnus, because I bought him Callous Typhon and he bought me the Thousand Suns, the Legion command set that I made my Thousand Suns. So yeah, I don't know Forge World well enough, I'm afraid, to say if that's a good call or not. Plus I played 40k in flipping ages. And I probably won't play it for another month or so with AoS. Oh, that's where I know the name. They're the they're the Shooty Armigers. Of course they are. They're the Shooty Armigers. I swear, I have a brain. It's probably fallen out at some point during this year, but okay, it's the Armiger autocannons. Couldn't quite remember. Yeah, I can brain. I can brain. Dear oh dear. That just shows how much information I've got going through my head right now. I can't even remember a unit that came out 3 weeks ago. Sheesh. Anyway, I'm just going to set up the Battletome article actually, whilst I'm thinking about it. Bosh. What realm should I base my Hallowed Knights in? I want something linked to their lore, but I don't know much about them. The Hallowed Knights. The Hallowed Knights are from Excelsis in the realm of beasts, I think. I think they're from Excelsis in the realm of beasts, so something quite like a wasteland is probably how it would work with them. I haven't got my Stormcast Battletome on me, that's back in England, so I can't check it for you, but I'm pretty sure they live in Excelsis in Gur. I think. How the Fly Slayers team up with your chamber? Yeah, they do lore-wise. Does the Magma Droll seem like a good choice, or are the Stormcast mounts better? They're playing a very different game. The Magma Droth is a proper beat stick. Again, I can't get the books to check, but the Magma Droth is a lot tankier than the Stormcast mounts. Even like the only thing tankier than it is a Star Drake. Like, the new stuff for Stormcast is nowhere near as tanky, and the damage output is slightly higher, I think, but they don't offer the same amount of buffs as, and they obviously don't have magic. So that's all I can say really. Is I'm not sure. They do team up, and I think a Magma Droth would fit. If I did get some Fire Slayers, which I'm not, at least not for a while at any rate, I would get a Magma Droth, but it's hard to compare it to the other mounts because the Star Drake is the only thing that's broadly comparable, and that's insane by comparison. And then the next step down is the new thing, the Toralon, I think. Do we know what the goat? Yes, we do. We'll get to it. I want to do the Storms and Spectres Battletome preview pre-order article first. then we'll do the Nighthaunt and we'll do the Stormcast in whichever order people prefer, because I know some people have seen more or less. So yeah, I'll do that, and then we'll do the two armies. I'll have a little vote on which one we should look into first. So, hop. You slide over there. So the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar is awesome. It really does look like it's going to be awesome. And it's just the start of a bold new era, one that's continuing next week with 2 battle tomes, a host of new models, and some new endless spells. Before we dive in, I just need to say, this is so important. The fact that we've got 2 battle tomes right out the gate. We're not going to be waiting several weeks to get the Nighthaunt battle tome and then the Stormcast battle tome. It's not going to be, okay, here's your release, now you play with them for a couple of weeks. Okay, now here's a battle tome, now play with that for a couple of weeks, and now here's your other battle tome, now we'll get on with it. It's, here's the edition, next week, here's the battle tomes. Everything you can play with, you've got all the rules, all the updated points, immediately, bang, bang, go. That's really important, and it bodes well for the release schedule going forward, that they are willing to put battle tomes out quickly. Because it also means that we're not stuck dragging this out or having it interspersed with 40k stuff to keep the 40k crowd happy. It can be crash bang wallop releases, bunch of stuff, then the 40k gets its spell with orcs and or space wolves, and then bang, we're back into another battle tome, and then we get the other one, and then bang, we're back into another battle tome, and then Genestealer Cults, bang, we're into another battle tome. We need a good start with these codex releases, as I've said more than once in videos the last couple of weeks, and that's a really good sign that they're going to do that. The Nighthaunt does look pretty cool, but the Stormcast. Alright? Hot on the Heels of the new edition come its inaugural 2 battle tomes, each providing vastly expanded rules and lore. Right. Look at that cover art. Look at that cover art. Look at that cover art. Like, oh my god. Also no 5-week releases, I sincerely hope not. Halberins, yeah, they actually are quite cheap for knights. So yeah, the Nighthaunt one is really good. It's a chain rasp, who's sort of hovering over the rest of his kin. There's a banshee in the background, I think. It's a pretty good piece of artwork, and it really does show off the Nighthaunt quite well. Although it doesn't play up their ethereal nature, they look kind of just like they don't look as ethereal as they could do, but that's a minor point. What I really want to focus on is the Stormcast. Rowan, shut up. The Stormcast in this artwork, it's a Liberator. But if you compare it to the Liberator of the last book, which is just dude, helmet, shield, hammer up, running forward, cool cover art, but nothing to write home about. This, flipping this, is amazing. Because he's de-helmeted the Stormcast. The Stormcast has no helmet, and he's got, I don't know how you'll see it depending on your device, but they're wearing the same sort of tribal war paint as we see for the female Stormcast on the cover of the core book. So they've linked them together, and they feel more human. The shield is broken. These guys aren't just the gilded warriors of Sigmar anymore. They've been knee-deep in battles over and over again as guardians of the realms. This guy has been through hell. And he's got paladins behind him. Looks like the ruins of a realm gate or a giant pile of corpses. I don't know which is more grimdark. Oh, the artwork for this book is so good. It's, yeah, such an improvement. It's amazing. And I've said in the past that I used to think of the Stormcast as living lightning in armor. But now that I've seen them humanized a lot more by these books and by the Mal-Important stories, which finished today, by the way, the Necroquake has happened. So if you want to read how the Necroquake happened, then you can do that on the Mal-Importance website. We might do that later in the stream. Might have a story time with Tactica like we used to do. But they are so much less generic and so much more personable now. They're much more awesome, and they're not like Space Marines anymore. Well, they are kind of like Space Marines, but they're so different to Space Marines that you can't just call them Sigmarines anymore unless you're really taking a surface level glance and or are just slating it for the sake of slating it. They're not Space Marines anymore, not even close. They're so awesome. So so awesome, and I love it. Yeah, I saw that picture. That was a fun meme. So, Spirit Torment? Yeah, it's Spirit Torment they converted. More lore, you say? Yes. You did hear story time. But that comes later. We have things to look at first, including everything in this article, then 2 more articles, and then we might have some story time if people still want it. So remind me after we've done all the preview articles, and we'll have some story time. As well as rules that let you customize the army more than ever before, with Storm Host rules for the Stormcast Eternals and spell laws for the Nighthaunt, to mention just 2 big additions. So that means that the Daughters of Cain temples and the Ideneth enclaves is becoming much more of a recurring theme. It's going to keep happening. So they're kind of like chapter tactics, for want of a better word. So that you'll get to do that again. So if your daughters are an Ideneth player who come against Daughters of Ideneth, you'll know what I'm talking about. That's being applied to Stormcast as well. This comes with a downside, which we'll get to. These books also continue the ongoing story of AoS with the sinister history of the Nighthaunt and new developments that add a touch of darkness to the Stormcast Eternals, because grimdark. I can't say anything about Black Library guests. We're angling to get 1 or 2 people, but we can't promise anything and we can't confirm anything at this time. Also, more amazing artwork. Just, oh yes. As the caption goes, we almost feel sorry for Chaos. No, you don't. For those of you who truly want to show your dedication, they will be available in limited edition, diddly diddly dee. Even better look at the artwork. Still can't tell if rubble or giant pile of corpses, also not sure which is more grimdark. And as you can see at the bottom, there's also a new kind of Warhammer Age of Sigmar expansion on the way for both armies next week. We knew about this for the Nighthaunt from the Warhammer TV Malign Sorcery preview stream, which was a couple of weeks ago. But army-specific endless spells. In case you were underwhelmed or underawed by the endless spells of Malign Sorcery, well, fear not, for there is even more bullshit lurking within the tomes of the Nighthaunt and the Stormcast Eternals. Behold, some of the most ridiculous looking models I have ever bloody well seen. Yes, it is a scary looking Stormcast. Yes, it is. So each Endless Spells expansion contains all the endless spells specific to your faction, while the War Scrolls are available to download free when they're released. Each set of endless spells is as wild and wonderful as those found in Malign Sorcery, but they've got a specific flavour that ties them to their associated army. Who do you want to be a guest on the podcast the most? It used to be Total Biscuit. I won't lie. TB was kind of my dream guest. I don't know who I'd say now, but it was TB, is all I can say. Alright. So, here are the Stormcast ones. There's a chance for the Great Maw, I suppose, in the right army. Foot of Mork, or possibly Gork, or Gorkamorka, as would probably be more accurate. So these are the Stormcast ones. Yeah. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, let's have a look. The Deus Arcanum, that's the little disc thing, gives you a flying platform to unbind more effectively and shield yourself from harm, whilst the Everblaze Comet smashes your foes apart and then continues to deliver deadly pulses of energy that deal mortal wounds. Excellent, excellent area denial. Finally, the Celestian Vortex. Who doesn't love a hurricane of hammers? Rick Priestley would be pretty awesome, but you've got to temper your expectations to some extent. Deepkin Sharknado. There's the door. Get out. Trying to work out how to do Corn Endless spells. LOL. So yeah, the Dice Arcanum, better unbinding, so it's kind of going to work like a combination, probably the Balewind Vortex and the Malevolent Maelstrom. So better, either better or an extra unbinding combined with some defense, which is going to be lovely. Because if there's one thing I will say about like 19 Cantors, they're probably quite flimsy. So that's going to be useful for them. The Everblaze Comet, I love this one. This is probably my favourite off first glance because it's area denial, and in certain missions, area denial could be absolutely huge. So here's a choke point surrounded by some deadly terrain. Slam, throw down a comet, nuke whatever's there, and just say, whop, whop. Everything near this is going to die. It's just so good area denial. You can't really deal with it. It's really, really useful. I approve of the Everblaze Comet. Also, Comet of Cassandora callbacks. Oh, yes. And then the Celestial Hurricane, or Celestial Melt Vortex, I've forgotten its name already. The Hurricane of Hammers, so I'm just going to call it that. The Hammer Hurricane. It's pretty cool. It's a little bit derpy, but it's cool. Also a Stormcast Disc. Yeah, kind of. Kind of like a Stormcast Disc of Zinch, in some ways. What's it called again? Celestial Vortex, that's it. The one thing I will say actually about these Comet Plus Teleport spell, I don't think it's predatory, so I don't think it can do that. I think it's only predatory endless spells, such as the Purple Sun or whatever, are able to pass through the Umbral Spell Portal. If that's what you're thinking of. I don't know if that is what you're thinking of, unless I'm missing something. Oh yeah, Armin. Yeah, you get a lot of cool looking characters onto that disc. Outside of Stormcast. If you wanted to. The Nighthaunt ones, by the way, the Nighthaunt ones are even better. Just... What? What? The Realm one. Is that Shadow? Is that Shadow that does that? If so, that's nasty. If so, that's a fair point. I hadn't thought of that. The other thing about these Stormcast spells, by the way, is we don't know what realm they're going to be boosted by. Because all the other endless spells are boosted by a given realm. So, Shaiish boosts the Purple Sun. The Palisade is boosted by Haish. The Burning Head is boosted by Akshi. But we don't know what's going to boost the Stormcast ones, because logically it's Azir, but there are no rules for playing in Azir. So, don't know. The Box of Nope. Yeah, it's the Ark of the Covenant gone mad. Or is it more like Pandora's Box? Do you think that's more like Ark of the Covenant or Pandora's Box? The Scythe is amazing. Like, I thought when we saw the Ether Void Pendulum, it will make an amazing Traitor Knight weapon. This might be even better. Can you imagine a Renegade Knight either two-handed or one-handedly clutching the Shaiish Reaper, as it's called? And it's just like, that would look amazing. I was picking on a Nurgle one. So they've got the Shaiish Reaper, the Vault of Souls, and the Mortalis Terminexus. Or as I'm going to call them from now on, the Box of Nope and the Egg Timer of Doom. That's what we're going to call them. The Box of Nope and the Egg Timer of Doom. We don't know about cost yet. We have no idea concerning cost because it's these aren't even up for pre-order yet. They'll be on pre-order this weekend. Not Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, I suppose. It's just that the first thing into mind because of the souls flying out of it was the Ark of the Covenant from Indiana Jones. Or the... oh, what was it called? The thing from Tomb Kings. What was the name of the Ark in Tomb Kings? Oh, what was it called? What was the name of the Tomb Kings Ark of the Covenant ripoff? Can't remember. Mortarion, Knight, yeah, it would look pretty awesome as a stand-in for Silence. We don't know about size though, so it might look too big for Silence, but I agree it would look pretty awesome. And best of all, we actually got this thing's War Scroll. We got the War Scroll for the Reaper. Which I'm just going to bop up into full screen just so it's easier for the chat to read. So, bye chat. Keep you invisible to me, but not to anybody else. So, the Shaiish Reaper, the ultimate manifestation of finality and death, passes through armor with ease and rips away a mortal's soul. Grimdark. So, only Nagash and Nighthaunt wizards can attempt to summon the Shaiish Reaper. So, it's a Nighthaunt endless spell, but because Nagash is the god of the dead, of course, he can cast it too. Casting value 7, 6-inch setup range, and then it can move up to 8 inches and can do so immediately and can fly because it's a predatory endless spell. Of course it can fly. It's empowered by Shaiish, so in Shaiish it has a move of 12, but its main ability is, of course, Soul Reaper. Before moving, pivot the model on the center of its base so that it points lengthways, so long ways, in the direction you wish it to go. Then move it in a straight line in that direction. The pivot is free. After this model has moved, roll a dice for each model that it moved over, including models it moved over during the pivot. If this roll is equal to or greater than the model's save characteristic, then you deal a mortal wound. So, have you ever run into that block of Temple Guard who have a 2+ save or something? Have you ever run into a block of 1 wound, high save infantry? Would you like that unit to not exist anymore? I give you the Shaiish Reaper. This is going to really help Nighthaunt because Nighthaunt don't have much rend from what we've seen. They have some decent mortal output but not loads, and they really don't have much rend. So this will really help them just rip stuff up with good saves. So I'm on board. I have to wonder how the box of Nope and the Egg Timer of Doom will function, but we shall have to see. Actually, I can give you a little bit of information about that. But first, let's get the chat back. Welcome back, chat. Hello. So the Vault of Souls runs around dealing mortal wounds and then exploding, whilst the Mortalis Terminexes can both heal and harm. So my guess with this thing is it's going to be sort of like a constantly rotating hourglass. So it's like 1 turn buff, 1 turn damage, 1 turn buff, 1 turn damage. It's constantly just rotating. That's what I'm thinking is how it's going to work, but I have no idea, in all truth. So, really worth the Nagash cast, or he will get it off and has trouble with those kind of units. Yeah, possibly, though he's going to be careful not to whack himself if your opponent gets control of it. Just keep that in mind. He's got a very good save as well, so he can be easily just dinked at with that spell. So, we also get a proper look again at all of the actual hero models, which is great. Lady Olinda, as well as Crawlock the Jailer, and some chain gas. The chain gas are really powerful because they basically amplify the aura of a spirit torment to 36-inch board coverage, which is nuts, thanks to the another link in the chain roll. I'm fine, thank you. I'm good, actually, I'm really good. So, if the chain gas are near to spirit torments within 12, then they get out an aura of reroll hit rolls of 1. So they can cover like 24, 36 inches of board with just 1 unit of these and a spirit torment. It's really quite powerful. Keep that in mind. We also get to see that there will be a box of Grimghast Reapers, so a proper box of 10, which is good. Because of course you do. Full multi-part plastic, can't complain about that. They're kind of very meh, but they'll do. They're going to be Battle Line. I think they're Battle Line if Nighthaunt. They've got a bunch of conversion options with chains, sides, lots of different stuff, which is good. So yeah, Nighthaunt gets some full fun stuff. And the Stormcast get, well, they don't just get this, we'll get a bunch more later. We get the Lord Exorcist, who, despite having the most boring pose known to the mortal realms, looks really, really cool. I don't know if it's the head or the staff or just the combination of the sagely figure with the book and his staff doing stuff, and he's just standing there while it happens, just looking out over the battlefield. I really quite like the pose. Do we know the base size? I didn't have a tape measure to hand when I went to GW, so I couldn't tell you about base sizes, I am afraid. And I certainly don't know for the end of the spells because they haven't said. Sorry. So I really like the Lord Exorcist. It's quite a simple model, but it's probably a really good model as a basis for some heroes. And the headpiece looks really cool. Be a really cool general component on a Lord Arcanum or whatever. So I'm quite on board with that. So we're going to get their end of the spells. They need to get something. Either they need to get a lot more anti-magic, or they need to get something like endless spells. But yeah, I don't know. We're not going to get official Exorcist Marine models, no. Very, very unlikely. You just paint them to look like the Exorcist from 40k, I'm afraid. The Lord Exorcist is a different game system for a start. Cleric model in D&D. I can see it. I dig it. I'm not a D&D person, but I dig it. We also get his spell, which is roll the dice for each unit within 6 inches, add that unit's bravery characteristic to the d6. If it's less than 10, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds, halve the bravery rounding down of death and demon units. So 9 to 4, 10 to 5, meaning that you can actually have a chance of doing d3 mortal wounds on a 4 or on a 3 or a 50% chance or a 66% chance of doing it. So it's a pretty nice spell. It'll be good against MSU, good for really whittling down heroes, and this will be good in Hero Hammer armies like Nighthaunt, who have a lot of flimsy heroes, as we'll see in a minute. They have a lot of flimsy heroes. This is going to be a really powerful spell if they Nighthaunt accidentally bunch up and you get into a good position to go slam, and well, fun times abound. You also get some War Scroll cards, as always, and then some fancy dice. And that's a lot. Oh, no, wrong button. I hate it when I press the wrong button. So yeah. One for a Balewind to give plus 6 inch range. Ow! Oh yeah, ow. That's a powerful combo. That's an ultra combo. Or whatever it is. So, Battle Tome Stormcast and Battle Tome Nighthaunt. What do you think? What are your thoughts so far? We've got 2 articles to do. One looking at the heroes of the Nighthaunt, which is the new named characters for them. And we have another one for the Stormcast, which is going to do the same thing. Let me know what you think of those when we get to them, and which one you'd like me to do first, Stormcast or Nighthaunt. But what do you think of the Battle Tome so far? Do you think they're adding some cool stuff? What do you think of having army-specific end of spells? Good thing, bad thing, etc., etc. Just let me know your thoughts. I'd very much like to know what you're thinking about all of this fun stuff. But while you do that, actually, I've got a drink in the fridge. Yep, I've got a drink in the fridge now. Because it's still stupidly warm. That skull on the Stormcast dice looks kind of sad. It's a skull. Is it, in the case of an order thing, is it supposed to look happy? I suppose. Don't really care for AoS. That's fair enough, but the title of the stream does say AoS 2 hype. This is an AoS stream, so get used to it, I guess, because that's what I'm going to be banging on about for most of this stream. I mean, I get it. If you don't care for it, you don't care for it. Not everybody does, and that's been made abundantly clear over the previous weeks and months. And I'm just, how do I do my lighting? I'll just go back to that. Prefer if the other factions got their battle terms first before Stormcast. Well, yeah, but Stormcast are in the box game and getting an entirely new chamber. If Stormcast weren't getting a new chamber, I don't think they'd be first. But the fact that they're in the box set with a huge amount of brand new units means they kind of had to get one early. So I get it, but they kind of had boxed themselves into a corner. Plus, if you treat Stormcast like Space Marines, whether you should or shouldn't, if they're the poster army of the game, of course they always get their book first in the edition. That's always been the thing with Space Marines and whatever else. Whatever's been in the box game has always got a book exceptionally early. And if that happens to be the poster boys, then it's the poster boys. So we get more and other in Nighthorn Battleton than just the ones from the Nagash directly. The problem is all the other Death Gods are kinda dead because of Nagash. So might be difficult to do, though it would be cool to see them try. Slaanesh. Yeah, I think we do need to get Slaanesh soon. I think we need to see Slaanesh within the next 2 months. By the end of summer, so by the end of August going into September, I think we should have seen a Slaanesh battle turn. I hope we do. So I'm going to work topic. I don't particularly care for Halo, because I played PlayStation when I was younger and I don't play video games now, so I did see it, but I don't particularly care for it, if I'm truthful. That's true. It doesn't really affect you as Khorne to have endless spells for every army. Though I suppose it does. I'd like to see the prayers be turned into like an endless spell mechanic, or at the very least exceptionally buff them. But then the catch is, not everybody's going to use endless spells. Either for game balance reasons, they might not be allowed in tourneys. We don't know yet. So they can't make everything that's not an endless spell for armies that don't have endless spells utter insanity, because then that forces other armies to bring endless spells, so they're taking a tax and then they have to pay for those. So I don't know. I get why it doesn't affect you, and I'll be interested to see how they balance it up with the armies that don't have them. Magic is for cowards. The Stormcast agreed with you until now. Needed that. It's still stupidly warm over here. I mean, to be fair, it's probably hotter in England, but yeah, details. How's the football going? Sorry, football. Get distracted very easily. It's the World Cup. Can you blame me? Looking forward to seeing. Yeah, I agree. Stormcast needed their. Come on. Space Marine reference. Okay, Messi scored a goal. Okay, that's how it's looking. Come on, Iceland. Come on, Iceland. Yeah, I think Stormcast did need to get magic, because Stormcast just didn't really hold. Like, they were alright, but they were mainly being used just as like Lord Ordinator in Mixed Order, Artillery Army, or Vanguard Wing, which is just abusive. And I've got corner arguing with each. Excellent. So, that's the first article that I wanted to go over. We've got 2 more, and then we'll have some story time. So, would people rather I go over the War Scrolls for the Nighthaunt first? Or would you rather I do the Stormcast? The Nighthaunt has 3 War Scrolls and 3 heroes, so that will take a bit longer to do, especially if you want me to go and read through the scrolls in detail and analyse them. Whereas the Stormcast only have 2, but I'm probably going to spend a lot more time talking about the models because they're both like first official reveals, whereas the Nighthaunt we've only got 1 official model reveal. So if you want to talk more about models, we can do Stormcast first. If you'd rather talk about rules, we can do Nighthaunt first. Or if you just have a preference, let me know. So just up to you to vote. I don't really mind which we do because we will do both before we get on to grand story time with Tactica Imperialis, because that's always fun. And it's the last one important story, so we owe it that much. Oh, jeez Louise. Flip a coin, Nighthaunt. Nighthaunt. Okay, Nighthaunt it is. So you can just have a quick, nice early vote on the matter, and it seems to be going with Nighthaunt. Get that set up, and if the chat changes its mind in the meantime, then it can change its mind in the meantime. Bush. Yeah, it's the last Mal Important story came out today. So kind of like A Rescued Soul, which was one of my favourite stories that I read in Mal Importance. I actually did a live reading on stream, so I'm thinking I might do the same again with the last Mal Importance story, because it sets up the setting for AoS 2, so I think it's worth reading. I enjoyed reading it earlier, and I know that not everybody will have seen it. Stormcast, because I don't know any of the faction. Fair. I mean, so far I was going 2 to 1 and then 2 undecided / don't care. So, give it a few more seconds, let people make their minds up, if anybody else is going to contribute. How many people we got here in the stream, by the way? How many have we got here? Okay. 13 here. Oh, 16. Okay, can you make your mind up, please? Okay, if it's just shouting at me about the resolution, I don't care, that's fine. Bonsoir, ça va? No, I cannot make a jazzy jingle. Get in the bin. I don't know what I'll do with Warhammer Adventures when it comes out, because they're not probably going to not be online versions. There'll be like books. I'm guessing there'll be books. So I don't, and because my camera is so awful for my PC, oh sorry, for my video camera that I bought is so useless that I can't really use it unless there's an e-version put out that I'd have to go out and buy when I'm not super fussed for doing it, because I don't have a problem with Warhammer Adventures, but the fact they're not canon and they're not designed for me means I'm not rushing to go out and get them, especially when I've got plenty to be getting on with, both in terms of lore reading and hobbying in general. If they come out at some point or someone posts them online and I can have a read of them there, do it on stream, I might do that, but don't expect any good voice acting. La hip avec la V2 qui approche, ouais. C'est 5 jours jusqu'à l'arrivée de AoS 2. Il va y avoir le grand livestream sur Warhammer TV qui dure les 24 heures, qui va être très utile, mais malheureusement je ne vais pas pouvoir le voir car je voyagerai à ma maison en Angleterre car mon avion c'est vendredi et je vais retourner chez moi le samedi, donc je ne vais pas pouvoir le voir, ça va être très énervant pour moi. Mais je suis sûr que certains dans le Discord ou dans la communauté en général vont voir ça et si on ne joue pas, s'il ne joue pas avec AoS 2, peut-être il l'aura au milieu quand il joue ou quand il lise, je sais pas. Mais il y a beaucoup de hype, je suis d'accord avec ça. Beaucoup de hype, je suis très excité pour cette édition, beaucoup plus que 40K, pour le 8e de 40K, je dois admettre. Mais je vais pas arrêter de parler en français car je pense que j'ai énervé tout le monde dans le stream. Pardon. I love it when I can just flip languages and probably piss half the stream off, but it's so fun to do. I do enjoy just being able to language flip. It's nice. I'm probably not going to do French videos again, apart from maybe the odd one. I'm not going to do another series in French. I have enjoyed doing it, even though my French is actually not improved according to Erasmus and the EU and OLS and all that stuff. But yeah, it's one of those things I'm going to kind of miss doing because it is kind of fun to do. But hey, whatever. It's the way it is. Yes, French. Yeah, sorry about that. I got going. De rien, c'est pas le problème. Right, is everything set up for that? Yep. Alright, let's have a look at the night haunts, shall we? Bosh. So, Battletome Night Haunt is coming, and with it 3 terrifying, never before seen named characters from the Mortal Realms. Each of these sinister champions was once a citizen of the Mortal Realms, their soul now twisted in service to the Grand Necromancer. As Nagash prepares to conquer the Mortal Realms, we'd be very surprised if we don't see a lot more of all 3 of these, both in the lore and on the tabletop. No, I'm not going to try and chug it. It will be very unpleasant. I'm not doing it. I want it to last the whole stream if I can. What if the next Codex compliant will be? Just not my place to guess or do that. That's up to Snipe and Whip. I don't know what they're working on. If I did, it would be my place to tell you. So I don't really mind. They do a good job with it and people enjoy it. So what does it matter exactly what it is? So, the 3 heroes of the Night Haunt. First off, Lady Olinda, the Mortarch of Grief. We've seen her before. She's been out for a while now. We've seen her for over a week. We've known about Olinda. Maybe even 2 weeks we've known about Olinda. So, that's her. With her ghostly attendants with the cracked hourglass and the box, which actually remind me of the 2 Night Haunt Endless spells that she's carrying around. An hourglass and a box that looks like it's about to be ripped open. That's a neat touch. I approve of that neat touch. Crowned Mortarch of Grief by Nagash, it is Lady Olinda who has united the previously disparate spirits, geists and wraiths of the mortal realms into a single, terrifying army. Once a usurper who tricked her way into power, she is now filled with a singular, unbearable misery that she can wield as a deadly weapon. So, here's a war scroll. Nagash seems like the final boss. Kinda. Right, chat. Bye. So, Lady Olinda is movement. Oh, it's not on the bloody thing. Movement 6. Okay, movement 6. Thank you. Is movement 6. 7 wounds, 4 up save, and 10 bravery. So, kind of flimsy. She's kind of flimsy. For a Mortarch, that's exceptionally flimsy. But in terms of damage, she's got 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend of 2, damage D3. Pretty good, particularly for a powerful wizard. And her handmaidens, 6 attacks, 4s and 4s, no rend damage 1, but if they roll a natural 6, you do a mortal wound instead. She is ethereal, so you do not have save modifiers of any kind, good or bad. She can fly, which is excellent. The handmaidens are treated as a mount, so if you go to buff a weapon, it is, pick a weapon, this cannot belong to the mount, then you can't give the handmaidens the boost, it has to be her Staff of Midnight. Grave Sands of Time. Once per battle in your hero phase, you can choose either to deal d6 mortal wounds to an enemy hero within 6 inches, which is almost a one-shot kill, and for weaker heroes is probably a one-shot kill. Or you can heal d6 wounds that have been allocated to this model. So you effectively have a full heal, probably, in your back pocket, which is pretty powerful, because ethereal and 4+ save, you're not the tankiest in the world. So if you get plinked down and plinked down and plinked down, sort of you pop the grave sands, okay, I've gained 3 or 4 wounds, okay, I'm now back up to half health, or I'm back up to full health. You're going to have to try a lot harder to kill me, which is really, really good. She also has a not quite shooting attack, sort of an ability called Lifting the Veil. At the start of your hero phase, pick an enemy unit within 12 inches of this model that is visible to Olinda and roll a dice. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2+, that unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the d6. So you roll a 2, you do 2 mortal wounds, you roll a 6, you do 6 mortal wounds. If any enemy models are slain by this ability, immediately heal d3 wounds that have been allocated to this model. So she has even more healing. Olinda has a hell of a lot of healing to get her going, because she's not the tankiest, as I've said, but through Grave Sands and her Veil attack, she can seriously heal fast. Yeah, I think I'd probably use the healing more, but it depends on the army I'm facing. If it's an army that generally can't hurt me or is too busy dealing with everything else, then sure, I can just sneak her forward and then bang, you're dead. But it's more likely to be used for healing, especially in tournament games, if she's like 1 wound left, almost one-shotted. Okay, have another go at one-shotting me. That's what I'm thinking. As a Mortarch of Grief, you add 1 to the number of models that flee from enemy units that fail a battle shock test within 12 inches of this model. This is exceptionally punishing to elite armies, not so much horde armies. Wail of the Damned. At the start of your shooting phase, roll 2d6 inches for each enemy unit within 10 inches. If the roll is higher than its bravery characteristic, which in this game is on average between 6 and 8, so it probably will be, it suffers d3 mortal wounds. That is a hell of a lot of mortal wounds. That's a hell of a lot of mortal wounds. It's like, right, everything within 10 inches is potentially getting nuked. If you're a low bravery army, like, I don't know, Skaven, Grots, what else? Humans, I don't know, stuff that isn't Stormcast and stuff, and they're demons in death, that's a lot of mortal wounds coming your way on your general units. Even your heroes are not safe. In terms of magic, she's got 2 casts and 2 unbinds per turn. She does Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Grief Stricken. Casting value 7, 18-inch range. Pick an enemy unit that is visible and within range. Until your next hero phase, subtract 1 from all hit rolls for attacks made by that unit, and add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target that unit. Oh my god, this spell is utterly nuts. This spell is nuts. Pick a unit and not only make it weaker, but also make it more vulnerable. Jesus, ow. That is a really... I'm taking these out. That is a really powerful spell. Used correctly, That could be one of the most powerful spells in the Nighthaunt's arsenal. It's an ability so they can run and use this. Oh god, yeah. Oh, that's unpleasant. That's really unpleasant. Finally, her command ability. You can use this in your hero phase if this model is your general and is on the battlefield. So it's another one of those you must be general to activate abilities. If you do so, you can return one slain model to each friendly summonable Nighthaunt unit that is within 12 inches of a friendly model with this command ability. So stick her in the middle of a Nighthaunt battle line, let's say with some Reapers here, some Stalkers here, some Chain Rasps here, there's a huge line of them. Maybe stick a Guardian of Souls or something in behind. And it's just, okay, everybody get a dude back. Every single turn if you have the command points. Yowza. Like as the people in the chat are saying, she's like an Mortark of healing. She heals herself a hell of a lot, but she can also res dudes constantly. She's powerful. She's really powerful. I approve. Welcome back, chat. That's the only thing that she's got going against it is she's slow. Well, she's not even slow. For infantry, she's moved 6, which is relatively quick. Oh, that's just unpleasant. That's just not pleasant. So yes, that's your cue to get some thoughts in. Chat. That you do that whilst I check the football again. Of course, though, faster me is 7" plus. For infantry, it's quick. For general units that are for fast units, yeah, maybe 6 is a bit slow, but for an army that doesn't have much cavalry, and for most armies, infantry is probably move 5. Yeah, move 5. She's no slower than other infantry. So yeah, it's sort of quick. Do you think the spell alone is enough reason to take her? No, the spell alone is not enough. But the spell, the command ability, and the amount of mortal wounds she's got going for her. Like, that mortal wound output is insanity. Like, she's got D3 per unit within 10 inches if you roll well or you have good debuffs in place. And you've got another further 1 to 5 more, 2 to 6 mortal wounds knocking about in the form of her hero phase attack. So she's got a lot going for her and insane healing. I think it will, as it says there in chat, it depends on what army you play, both for her being good and army speed. But for her being good, she's very good on her own. She's good on her own, but in the right army with a lot of summonable units, a lot of bravery modifiers, she could be the nuts. She could be the absolute nuts, which is scary. It is scary. Next up, this is just a bit more stuff about her. Kurdos Valentian, or Valencian. I'm going with Valentian. The Craven King. So this dude has his own personal throne and flag and hornblower. In life, Kurdos Valentian was a ruthless betrayer who killed, deceived, and betrayed his way to the throne. Well, almost. At the moment of his crowning, Nagash struck Kurdos dead and took his soul, granting him great power, yet also cursing him to never know true rulership. Ever betrothed to Lady Olinda, Kurdos will never, ever be king. His title is a cruel jest on behalf of Nagash. Even his heralds mock and goad their lord, crying his wicked deeds and defamatory titles for all to hear, appellations such as usurper, false lord, and craven king. Nagash has a sick sense of humour, and I love it. What's his move? 6. It's Angmar. I need to watch Lord of the Rings again to get that reference. So, the Craven King is a named character that's a single model, and he is, again, he's like having a mount. So he has 5 attacks, 3s, rend 2, damage D3, 7 wounds, 4 up save for every 10, and a further 6 attacks, 4s and 4s, no rend damage 1, but they do mortal wounds of 6 to hit, which is kind of alright. However, this is the most bullshit ability in the game. Maybe. At the start of the enemy hero phase, after the opposing player receives their command point for that turn, roll a dice. On a 5+, subtract 1 from the enemy player's command points to a minimum of 0, and you receive 1 command point. You have a 33% chance to steal your opponent's command point. What the hell? It's got an infinite range. It doesn't have to be this the enemy general or an enemy hero to make it happen. Just, oh god. That's scary. That's scary. Soul Crushing Smite is the unmodified wound roll for the Sepulchral Scepter. Back in English, is a 6 unmodified. Then this attack has a damage of D6 instead of D3. So he can do some potentially utterly ridiculous damage, especially if you roll on natural 6s. Flippin' Hell is about right. Good for the cost, just one of the best things I've seen for value. It's kind of ridiculous because I almost know will have these abilities. Well, command abilities are very universal, but abilities to nick them, not so much. Finally, Suffer No Rival. Reroll hit rolls for attacks made with the Sepulchral Scepter if the target is the enemy general. Makes sense for his lore, so he's better at doming in generals. But he's not fast enough to do it, so don't even try. 5 attacks, rend 2, damage D3, maybe D6. Yeah, it's his command ability BS that makes him really good, I think. That's going to be what makes him insane. Oh yeah. Come on, Iceland. And finally, he's almost as good in close combat as a... What? He's that good? Is that really... sorry. I accidentally clicked the volume button on my mic. I'm sorry. I derped. Is he seriously as powerful as a Bloodthirster in melee? Really? I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but Also, the death knell and the Cetra thing. Yeah, kinda. Cetra's dead. The king is dead, long live the Craven King. And all that jazz. Also, I appreciate the pun. And then finally, the actual interesting one, Reikenor the Grimhaler. I love this name. So, this was the model I expected to be Mortark. Why isn't this the Mortark? Why? Why is this not the Mortark? Because, I mean, come on. He's got the big flying steed. I mean, this one has wings, which the other one doesn't compared to a Dread Abyssal, but still. This should be the Mortark. Alinda's a cool model, I'm not saying she ain't, but this is a Mortark. Alinda kinda isn't, and that's been my biggest gripe with her. She doesn't feel like a Mortark. Not compared to the other three, and not compared to this. I don't know, personal preference, I think this guy should have been Mortark, but that's just me. A sorcerer king with a mastery of light magic who worked to defeat mortality itself, gathering many acolytes and followers to his cause. He had nearly unparalleled knowledge of the energies of Shaish, but apparently not enough to know that what he was doing was likely to attract Nagash. Now he works as an executioner, hunting those who would deny the Grand Necromancer his due. So the man who wanted to beat mortality forever now makes sure that nobody gets the chance. Boop. So, bye chat, one more time. So again, 7 wounds, 4 up save, bravery 10. Again, really quite flimsy. Need to keep saying this. 4 attacks, 4s, 3s, rend 1, damage 2. Very wizardy stats. And then 3 attacks, 4s, 4s, no rend, damage 1. Which is fine for a wizard. It's pretty good. Flying, ethereal, usual stuff. If his main weapon gets a 6, it does 2 mortal wounds instead of rolling for damage and whatnot. So unmodified 6s, you get mortal wounds, kind of like Decimate, that's kind of like Retributors in Stormcast Eternals. Corpse Candles. In your hero phase, before this model attempts to cast a spell, you can say that it will snuff out a corpse candle. The heavy metal dude in the picture that you're probably seeing because the stream is lagging a little bit is Reikenor the Grimhaler of the Nighthaunt. You missed quite a bit, to be fair. Stormcast preview, well, preview of the 2 new battle tomes including there and the spells, and you missed the 2 Nighthaunt heroes before this one, I'm sorry. No, these saves are completely unmodifiable because ethereal. All modifiers, positive or negative, are ignored. Anyway, Corpse Candles. When you fully get started, you intend to cast, you can snuff out a candle. If you do so, pick either this model or an enemy model within 12 inches. That model suffers 1 mortal wound. If the mortal wound was suffered by an enemy model, add 1 to the casting roll. If the mortal wound was suffered by this model, add 3 to the casting roll. So, do a mortal wound to yourself, pretty much guarantee your next spell goes off. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. To just say, yeah, okay, I'm safe at the back of the board. I'm just going to deal mortal wound to myself. I probably have a command trait that lets me have some passive healing. Okay, that's fine. Have +3 to cast this spell. That's pretty good. Ethereal, Frightful Touch. You can roll hit rolls for attacks made with Fell Reaper, which is his main weapon, if the target unit has 5 or more models, so good against units of dudes. Good. Finally, he's a wizard. He can cast 1, unbind 1. There's Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Wraith Storm. Casting value 7, 12-inch range enemy unit. This unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If any of the models in that unit die, then the unit takes another D3 mortal wounds. So, again, against 1 wound heavily armored dudes, deal D6 deal 2 D3 mortal wounds. Against Stormcast, this spell is kind of weak because you only have a 33%. Well, no, you still have a 66% chance of killing a dude. Against the Paladin, it's a 33% chance of killing a dude to get the extra thing to hit more dudes. So, yeah. Right. Great spell. I think it's a good spell. I don't think it's quite the level of Olinda's, just because Olinda's has so much utility. But Reikenor has got a good spell. I'll agree with you, it's a good spell. Welcome back, chat. Hi. So this guy's going to be really good at just dealing with hordes of dudes. I think that's his thing, it's just hordes of dudes. So Lady Linda and Nighthaunt are available for pre-order this weekend. Reikenor, the Grimhaler and Kurdos are soon after. So it's going to be a 2-week release wave, if not a 3-week release wave. That's something to consider. And that's it. That's the Nighthaunt. They look fun, don't they? Lots and lots of fun for the Nighthaunt. Fun times abound. No, I can't sneak a Madness reference in there. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think the Nighthaunt heroes are pretty good. The one risk they've got is that they are flimsy. Really flimsy. Because Reikenor and Kurdos have no healing. No healing. At all. In fact, Reikenor can actively kill himself. Olinda has got so much healing that it's very useful. But, by God, if you can isolate those heroes and attack first, you can just knock them down because they're so flimsy. So, I'm interested to see how they'll pan out. I think they'll be very useful. You've just got to use them carefully. And I think that's true of all of Nighthaunt. You've just got to use them carefully and use them properly in order to get something out of them. If you just throw them in haphazardly, they might kind of suck. Okay. 10 out of 10 would spook again. It was a school league final today. Didn't realise that. Again, I haven't been at school for 3 years at this point, so why would I know? New wizard in the new box that can heal units. Yes, there is a little bit of healing from the Guardian of Souls, but they're not sturdy. Even with a little bit of passive healing going on, 7 wounds is an easy thing to deal where they only have a 4-up save. 7 wounds and a 4-up save. If you can get an assassin unit onto them, like a deep striker that drops in from reinforcements, or you get your snipers to take aim if you can isolate them, or you just get a beat stick hero onto them and go first, I think they're very, very vulnerable to just getting picked off. And Olinda especially, you really can't afford to let that happen because she passes out so much healing of her own to your units and has so much magic potential that she needs to be kept alive, and she can't do that so well. You just have to use it carefully, and you've got to be thinking about your hero cap as well. We've got to not turn it into just hero hammer, because hero hammer doesn't work so well. Just a few things to consider, really. Right, we've been going for just over an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to take a very short break, just for 5 minutes. Just get myself a snack, wake myself up a little bit, and then we'll have a look at the Stormcast, and we'll have the story time with Tactica as we do the final Malign Portent story. I'll be back in give or take 5 minutes. Alright, feeling refreshed, and we're back. And yes, Rowan, you had one job, and you bottled it. Never mind. With another 900 setup, I feel the fact that Fletcher calls can't be aligned unit sucks. They would cover much of the problems I foresee them having. Care to elaborate? No mortar protection. That's very, very true. No mortar protection. They'll be very easily sniped off. I feel like if Nighthaunt have got a weakness, it's gonna be... Ooh. I don't know. I think it's gonna be damage output. That's what I'm thinking. Like, Nighthaunt have got enough big hordes of dudes that they can play the long game, play attrition, summon up, and generally be alright as long as they keep their heroes. But they'll be vulnerable without their heroes. So if the heroes get sniped, they're going to have a problem. And they also, I think they just lack DPS. The Reapers don't seem to have loads of DPS. The Stalkers don't seem to have loads of DPS. I know you have Spirit Hosts, but is that enough? I don't know. Yeah, I think we'll just have to see how it pans out, but that's my opinion, is that they're going to struggle for DPS. That's my opinion. The Banshees, heroes. I mean, between the Guardian of Souls, Olinda, you're going to have to make a cut somewhere. And like, what do you cut to get the DPS of your Banshees and your Spirit Hosts into your eye? What do you cut? Because you need enough dudes to hold the board, you need enough heroes to return those dudes, and you need another set of heroes to give you buffs to those dudes. Do you have the space to then add in your DPS units? That's the question I have to ask. Use extra expendable burst damage units. Hex Wraiths might... The Mirmorns. Have we seen their War Scroll? I haven't seen the War Scroll for the Mirmorn Banshee, so I am in no position to comment on their damage output. Feel free to enlighten me, but I've not actually seen it, so I'm in no position to comment, unfortunately. Football's coming home. I'm sorry, it's the World Cup, alright. Anywho. We'll have a little bit more, a couple of minutes talking about Nighthaunt, if you want to do that, and then we'll do the Stormcast because, yeah, on the easy to build page on the GW's. Of course, it's on the bloody GW store. I should have known that. Hang on. Sigma. Browse my Rage Sigma. New exclusive. Pre-orders. He's doing Sequitals. 10 over 3, okay. 10 over 4. Oh god, that's decent value actually, 10 over 4. Downloads. There we go. Okay. 1 attack, 4s, 3s, Ren 2, damage D3, 1 wound, 4 up save. But they get +1 attack if they unbind a spell or dispel an endless spell. Right. Yeah. they have some DPS, but only one attack. And they'll only get boosted if they eat endless spells, or eat spells. If they eat endless spells, they do D3 more wounds to themselves. So we'll have to see what their cost is and whether you can sneak them in. But okay, I see your point. I see your point, and I'm willing to work with it. Okay, good to know. Thank you for telling me. Drank a pint for every goal that England scored. Well, that's just being a moron. Like, why would you down your drink for an England goal against, it's in Panama? Just asking for trouble. Anyway. Let's do some Stormcast, shall we? Because this is gonna be fun. New heroes of the Stormcast Eternals. Battlezone Stormcast Eternals is packed with new lore, art, and of course rules that bring Sigmar's chosen warriors to life as never before. With a close look at the newly opened Sacrosanct Chambers and its foremost champions. Look at these mother trucking miniatures. Look at these mother trucking. Your Skull Reapers also have 3 wounds. And can have their save buffed. Or nerfed. Though I do see your point. They are flimsy. I just want to point that out. Again, flimsy. We'll have to see. I think Nighthawk are going to be an interesting one to judge. I think it's hard to judge until we see them all together, put them on the table all together. But you do make a fair point. I'm just waiting for the chat to catch up because just how does one describe, like, this is a cool model. This model on the left is a cool model. What's her name? Astrea. I'm going with Astrea. Astrea Solbright, not Soulbright, Soulbright. Astrea Soulbright. I mean, that's a cool model. That's a flipping cool model. Awesome base. She's got the Soul Flask, she's the Lord Arcanum, she's got a staff up. Really quite an interesting model. She's mounted on what's called a Draco line, which is actually a Lord Arcanum mount available for more dudes, for other Lord Arcanums. But this. Oh, chat's in the way. But this. Bruh. What? What is that? I'll tell you what it is, it's bloody amazing. There don't see any figures in AoS representing fantasy China. So sort of like, oh god, this is, no, hang on. China. Oh, what was China's gimmick? I know Japan obviously was the samurai. I don't know what China's ancient warriors were like, so I'm in no position to comment. But you can make a free city like that if you want to do some conversions and make them look like that and play free peoples. You can absolutely do that. But it would probably be a conversion job as opposed to official miniatures. If I were to guess, I'd say no, but I will be willing to prove them wrong, and it'd be a fun conversion if you could do it. Not sure if, yeah, they're laughing at me. They're always laughing at me. Never mind, on we go. So first off, Astrea Soulbright works with the Shimmer Souls of the Sacrosanct Chamber of the Hammers of Sigmar. We'll get to this. Searching for a cure to the flaw that is slowly eroding the souls of the Stormcast Eternals. Yep. On her quest, she has hunted countless ostensibly immortal creatures to unlock their secrets, having come into conflict with the vampires of Shaiish on countless occasions. Originally a Magus of Light from Haish, she now turns her mastery of magic and spirit science to the aid of Azir, bringing death to the deathless in search of liberation for her brethren. So, This girl is basically what's his pissing name? Grimhaler. This is what happens when Grimhaler goes good. So Grimhaler had been raised to a Stormcast. Then, well, if he had been, you get Soulbright. That's kind of how it goes. Soulbright is what happens if they do get ascended, but if they don't, then you end up with Grimhaler. Yeah. I remember in War Advanced Nation similar to China. Just because something was in fantasy, don't expect to see it in AoS. That's all I'm gonna say. You have a point. I forget their name. Not Astalia, not Cathay. Was it Cathay? No, I don't think it was Cathay. Dynasty Warriors plus AoS equals take my money. That was me with Daughters of Cain, basically. Ancient Greece plus elves plus that Marathi model. Shut up and take my money. Yeah. Hail Sigmar. Somebody got it right. So Astrea Soulbright's War Scroll. She is 12-inch move, 7 wins, a 3+ save, and a bravery of 9. Which is pretty solid, all things considered. It's pretty solid. Bye, chat. Astrea Soulbright is a named character. So, 4 attacks, 3s, 3s, rend 1, damage D3. Kind of similar to a Lord Arcanum. And the claws of the Draco line Khazra are 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. However, thanks to Thunderous Pounce, it rerolls charges and is damage D3 on the charge. This means that on the turn that she charges, Astrea is putting out 7 attacks that are 3s, 3s, rend 1, damage 1. That is a lot of attacks at damage D3. It's a lot, alright? It's a lot. So her ability, Cycle of the Storm, you can heal 1 wound to keep a model alive instead of it dying, so you get to res 1 model within 18 inches per turn. It's kind of cool. Cannot use it on yourself though. Spirit Flasks, the grenades that you smash in the combat phase to deal mortal wounds to units around you, although it does hurt you as well. So a nice little suicide if you need it, or just a way to eliminate a pesky hero. Supernatural Roar. Subtract 1 from the bravery of enemy units within 3 inches of 1 or more friendly Draco lines. Okay. Nice little ability. Also, I'm going to bring the chat up so I can read it. All the yes. So she's a wizard. She can cast 1 and unbind 1. She knows Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Lightning Pulse. So Lightning Pulse is casting 5. And it's a nuke spell, so roll a dice for each enemy unit within 12 inches that is visible. On a 5+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. That's kind of crap. I mean, I know it's an easy spell to cast, but it's kind of crap. She also has the Prime Electrids, which means that her Arcane Bolt is the old Arcane Bolt, not the new Arcane Bolt. So it's D3 mortal wounds instead of 1, and on a 10+, it's D6, rather than being 1 D3. As it is with the new Arcane Bolt. Her command ability. You can use this command ability in your hero phase, your shooting phase, or in the combat phase. In the hero phase, pick a friendly Hammers of Sigmar Evocators unit. Within 12 inches. This can automatically cast in power in the hero phase, no casting was required, and it cannot be unbound. So, this is basically the Lord Arcanum's command ability, but with a 12-inch reach, and it's only for Hammers of Sigmar. G-dubs. While I appreciate Stormhost rules for the Stormcast Eternals, I appreciate that, it's a really nice change. You do realise that every single named character you have ever released is for the Hammers of Sigmar. All of them. Vander Hammerhand, Neve Black Talon, Astrea Soulblight, and the hero we'll get to in a moment, the Goat Pegasus dude. As a result, if you run a Storm host that is not the Hammers of Sigmar, you are technically not allowed to use those characters, or if you are allowed to use those characters, you are not allowed to use their command abilities. No GW, bad GW. If you want to put out named characters, that's great. But you make them universally available. You don't lock them behind one Storm host, because I guarantee you Hammers of Sigmar will be a Storm host that you can have your allegiance to, which will come with some abilities, and you don't lock your heroes behind them. Because if you do that, then what is your reason for letting anybody take a different Storm host if they liked the named characters, or they swore by the named characters in the past? The Celestant Prime proves you don't need to do this. So did Volturnos, so does Marathi. You don't need to do that. All that does is it discourages people from taking anything other than Hammers of Sigmar. Which, by the way, look the worst of all the Storm hosts I've seen. The gold on gold is dumb. I don't like it. I much prefer the black and gold of the Animals of the Hellhound or my Sons of Malice. Or I much prefer the white of the Hallowed Knights, the Knights Excelsior. I quite like the deep blue of the Tempest Lords. I've seen red done really, really well. Gold on gold looks dumb. And you're locking all your characters behind it? And you don't paint them like that. You've locked them into using one set of rules if they want the named characters to function properly. Now you could just say, well, don't use their command abilities, but they've got really good command abilities. We'll see this with the Pegasus dude. They've got ridiculously good command abilities. And you locked them behind one Storm host? Really? Come on. That's, yeah, it's damn frustrating is what it is. Alright, rant over. Back to the War Scroll. So that's Astra Soulbright. She's actually really quite good. I do quite like her. She's got a huge amount of melee potential. Her spells are kind of meh. I mean, compared to a regular Lord Arcanum, her command ability is good. It's got an extra reach. Her damage is, like, it's less than a Knight in Cantor's damage, although I think it has a longer reach. And it's only a 5+. I don't think you're taking her for magic. You're taking her for damage. I would think you're taking her for damage. What do they say? Yeah. Supporting forces and bringing the fight. You want it on front line and not just as she's in range. Lightning Pulse is punishing against foes within multiple small units. Yep. And her ability to reroll charges means she does pretty dumb damage in combat. Yeah. Sword Pommel done as a hand grenade. We already have noob tubes. We don't need any more. Now then. Aventis Firestrike, Grand Magister of Hammerhal. A battle mage of the Aglaraxi Empire that ruled the Great Parch, thrust into the war by the coming of Khorne. Mastering pyroclastic sorceries in his search for revenge, his vengeful rampage was only ended after he has incinerated scores of the Khorne bloodbound who defiled his home. Reforged as a Lord Arcanum, Aventis has returned to his ancestral home in Akshi as the Grand Magister of Hammerhal. Oh yeah, I know I'm being salty about it, but I love the new models, but that is so annoying because it basically means I can't use them. That's the problem. It's not the fact the models exist, the models look great and the War Scrolls are cool, but if I want to use them, I'm locked into one build, which sucks. No other named characters are locked behind one faction that I'm aware of. I just think that that's badly implemented. Because Marathi's from Hagnar. Marathi's from Hagnar, but she's not locked to Hagnar. She buffs all daughters. The Celestin Prime is kind of nobody. But anyway, yeah. I know what you mean about being salty, but it's just frustrating that they've locked it behind the most boring paint scheme to do of them all, and around behind a set of abilities within abilities. Just frustrating. Sorry. So, Aventus Fire Strike. 14-inch move, 10 wounds, 3 up save, bravery 9. So, this is sort of in between Dracoth and Star Drake. So, Dracoth, Lord Celestin has 7 wounds, a Star Drake has 16. So, it's... No, you're right. But it is just annoying. You're right, sorry. Anyway, in terms of his War Scroll, the Staff of Hammerhal. 2 inch range, 4 attacks, 3s, rend 1, damage D3. Basically the same as Astrea. And then 4 attacks, 3s, rend 1, damage 2 from Loitar, the Taurelon, which is the Goat Pegasus thing. It can fly, obviously. At the end of your movement phase, you can pick one enemy unit that has any models that this model passed across. You can add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with missile weapons used by friendly Stormcast Eternal units that target that unit in the same turn. So, fly over something, get hit buffs against it. That's nice. I can't do the Mrs. Brown voice. Cycle of the Storm, again, the stop something dying. Meteoric Strike, you do a mortal wound on the charge, so roll a dice for each enemy unit within 1 inch. After you charge on 2 up, you do a mortal wound. Cool. Righteous Indignation, this is hilarious. Each time a wound inflicted by a melee weapon is allocated to this model, on a 5+, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound. LOL. You just stabbed me in the face. Here, have a mortal wound. It's not quite Magmadroth level silly, but it's kinda nice. It's kinda nice. Spirit Flask, as before. In your hero phase, heal 1 wound allocated to this model. So, passive healing, that's nice. There isn't much healing in Stormcast, but you've got a Lord Castellant around, there's a bit more healing. No, not Lord Castellant. Who does healing? Oh, Relicta, that's it. Relicta does healing. Hate mechanics that work around moving over stuff. It's super finicky. Arguably, I'd say it's a good thing because it requires you to think tactically about your placement a couple of turns in advance. You got to think, well, if I do that, then I'm making this unit more likely to get shot because he can now fly over with his Magister. I think it's a cool idea, though I agree it is finicky, but I like it. Aventus Fire Strike is a wizard. He can cast 2 and unbind 2. He knows Arcane Bolt, the old Arcane Bolt, the boosted version, Mystic Shield, and Pyro Electric Blast, which has a casting value of 6. Pick a point on the battlefield within 9 inches. Draw a line between that point and the closest part of the caster. Every unit apart from the caster that has models beneath this line suffers D3 mortal wounds. Basically, draw a line, nuke everything on it. That's kind of nice. I quite like that. It's a simple ability. It's a very simple ability, but it will do some very decent damage, and if you can line it up correctly, it'll hurt. It'll really, really hurt. Oh, hello. Oh my god, there's madness happening in the football. There is madness in the football, I love it. Oh my god, this might happen. This might happen, oh my god. Sorry. The most incredible ability, not because it's strong, but because it feels good to punish your stuff being attacked. Yeah, fair enough. So anyway, his command ability. Sorry, I got very, very distracted because football. So, Fiery Orator. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Hammers of Sigmar unit wholly within 12 inches of a friendly model with this command ability. Wholly within. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by that unit, which can be you, until the end of that phase. Hot dang. That will really hurt if handled correctly. That could do some serious damage. Okay? Keep that in mind. Hello, chat. And that's about it. So, Pillage Blast. For Wizard, 7-foot tall Revenant Forged from Raw Azurite mounted on a massive Celestial Beast. Yep. Pretty defensive, 3 up save, 10 wounds, bit of healing, and mortal wounds. Yep. Why is this a thing? Why is this a thing? Ah! Sorry. I'm really... It's way more annoying than it should be. But there you go. That's them. That's the models that we're getting. And they're very, very pretty. I knew I was getting the Goat Pegasus as soon as we saw it in the trailer for Soul Wars. As soon as I thought, that's a model, yeah, I wanted it. So I'm getting that. I'm getting that Taurolon. But other than that, I'm thinking Astrea. I'm undecided on Astrea. Like, she's a cool model and a pretty useful model as well, because she'll hit like a flipping brick on the charge. But her magic just doesn't convince me. And I think I'd rather just have a Lord Arcanum most of the time. Because the Lord Arcanum, particularly on Griff Charger from Soul Wars, it's just like, whip, teleport across the board, and then do a thing. The command ability's got a shorter range, but alright. And a Griff Charger's alright, it's not a Drake line, but it's a little bit faster. So you trade off speed for DPS. Your magic is more defensive, I think. If you're Lord Arcanum, is you have some more defensive magic. So it's up to you if you prefer Astrea or the Lord Arcanum. But personally, I'm getting Aventus. Absolutely, I'm getting Aventus. Like, hello, have you seen the thing? And it'll be really nice. That will probably be my centerpiece for the Stormcast army. It'll mean I don't have to get a Star Drake. Because I was, for so long I was umming and ahhing, do I want a Star Drake, do I not want a Star Drake, Star Drake, no Star Drake, Star Drake, no Drake, Drake, no Drake, Drake, no Drake, Drake, no Drake. And I think now that we've got the Taurolon, I'm thinking no Drake. Because then I don't have to get a 1650 quid, well, like 75 quid powerhouse that I'm not going to use half the time. I can just get the Taurolon, which is probably going to be a lot cheaper and just as useful in some ways. Because I don't go for mad DPS. Damn it. As far as we're aware, there's no non-unique Taurolon model. I believe it's just Aventus. I think. Oh. Actually, let me check. Let me check. Because I can totally check. Because somebody sent me a look at some Stormcast points, so I can check if there's a Lord Arcanum on Taurolon that exists. Nope, missed it. Where is it? There. Yes! Yes. The Taurolon is going to be available to you. For any Lord Arcanum, can take a Taurolon, a Dracoline, a Griff Charger, or go on foot. As far as we can see. Or as far as I can see from this supposed General's Handbook leak. So yes, there will be a non-unique Taurolon and a non-unique Dracoline, but you'll have to take it on a Lord Arcanum. Which is good, because it means you have a reason to get them and not just use them as Aventus. So I'm hoping that the Lord Arcanum on Taurolon has a similar command ability to Aventus, but slightly tweaked, so that you're not like super losing out by not taking Aventus. 1,500 points with a Star Drake. Yeah, that can just get in the bin. Go to Cypher all. Yeah, possibly. Anyway, so overall thoughts on the Stormcast heroes, the Nighthawk heroes, the Battle Tomes. let's give some final thoughts, and then I'll get set up for grand story time as we conclude the Malimportant story saga. So I'll just do that now while you guys have a chat among yourselves. Boop. Perfect. That's today's story. I still want to do Sacrosanct. Yeah, I completely don't blame you for that. The Stormcast bout 5th. 1 Extremis. 2. This is the 3rd. Technically 4th if you count Extremis as 1. So the 5th one probably in AoS 3, or whenever they open the next Stormcast chamber. Not before. So this 4th one is going on pre-order at the weekend. So they'll be out next weekend. Okay? Heroes at Night, they do. I mean, Olinda's great. Not a Mortart level great, but great. I really like Grimhaler, and I quite like Kurdos as well. It's technically the 4th/3rd, depending on how you count it, but they might just be meaning. Astrea is really cool. I like Astrea's model a lot, but I think Firestrike just wins by the virtue of having a Goat Pegasus. I will probably make that into my own Lord Arcanum on Goat Pegasus. How the hell am I going to paint that? How the hell am I going to paint that? I have no idea. Yep, they're memeing. Helpful. Memes. That's a shame. Right, if there's no further thoughts, I kind of want to read this story, because we're going on 2 hours of stream now. I mean, I know I started I had a couple of minutes of the intro and I had to have a break, but I want to read this Malimportant story. So, we're going to do that, and then I think we might call it a stream and all retire to the Discord. How does that sound? Yeah, I'm feeling that. Let's do that. Let's do story, and then we'll call it a night. The final Fran stream will be complete. How about that? Did last. So, 1, by chat. I'll try and keep chat where I can see it, but yeah, I'll just keep an eye. I'll keep an eye on chat, but sorry everyone at home, you're not going to be able to see this. Actually, I can't do that. I can't keep chat on the screen and read the story. Boo. So this story is called The Great Black Pyramid, which is reference to Nagashizar, the Great Black Pyramid at the center of Shaish, the inverted pyramid. This story jumps perspectives a lot, so if you get a bit lost, sorry. Like a living shadow, Crick Tale of Clan Slink led his clique of gutter runners and assassins from archway to colonnade to mausoleum on his way through Nagashizar. His clique was but one of hundreds, but with the surety of a born winner, he knew he had penetrated the furthest into the cursed city of Nagash. His kill pack picked their way through catacombs and cloisters, sliding from one monolithic obelisk to another, sneaking past towering statues of the legendary Mortarks and building-sized death's heads. Darting in the shadows of lumbering undead gargants they went, flitting as half-shadows between stationary legions of bone things, then climbing up the skull-studded pillars to run soundlessly across slanting roofs. The Slink Adepts had learned of what the Greyslayer Wretchnick had intended, and through him learned the schemes of the Master Clan. There was undoubtedly something at the heart of the Obsidian Black Pyramid hovering inverted above the city, a prize that could ensure the ascendance of the clan's Eshin forevermore. according to their Shadow Master back in Ulgu, the stakes were higher than ever. On they went through the undead city, using every artifice of the form of smoke and shade to its full extent. Even Nagash's watchful Morghast sentinels were little match for Clan Slink's finest. With their uncanny abilities bolstered by rites of concealment and illusion, at times they were no more substantial than sighs of cold air on the breeze. They slid onwards toward the vast black pyramid at the necropolis's heart. In there was the quintessence of power, and they would claim it, no matter the cost. Atop the highest of Nagashizar's pyramids save one, Arkan the Black stared upon his works with a feeling of cold satisfaction. How long had it been since Nagash had tasked him with creating the masterwork that now blotted out the light of Haish with its vastness? How many of the restless dead had marched to his slavish beat over the millennia? Come to that, how many warriors of how many races had given their lives to stop it, the screams and battle cries of their armies even now carrying upon the wind? It mattered little in the final reckoning. Let Manfred have his sport, setting one enemy against another as he sprung the long-honed defences of Nagashizar upon those who sought to challenge the master. Let Neferata rejoice in the culmination of her centuries-long schemes, strife upon strife, ensuring that no force of the Pantheon of Order could truly call another a trusted ally. Nagash's would-be nemeses were arriving piecemeal, or not at all. All that mattered was the great work, and it was a few trickling sand grains away from completion. With a thrilling sense of grandeur, Arkan looked out upon the myriad tombs, monuments, and statues of Nagashizar. He intoned a phrase of power in ancient Nehekaran and summoned the host of departed spirits that would carry the capstone of his greatest achievement, Nagash's greatest achievement, he corrected himself, to its final resting place, and in doing so, damn the mortal realms forever. Soon, so soon, it would all be over. The great black pyramid would thrum with power, and the necroquake unfold. Together, Nagash and his faithful servants would watch as the spirits of all the ages rose from their graves to slay the living, and then drink in the power that was rightfully theirs in the aftermath. The souls of the dead would all find their way to Nagashizar, starving the other gods of worship, and in doing so, laying them low. It was a plan so beautiful in its ambition, its completeness, that Arkan felt moved for the first time in eons. If he had still been a mortal man, and if he had still been capable, he would have wept. Ignoring the sounds of battle around the citadel's lower levels, Lord Ordinator Aros Diviniad put his eye to the arcanoscope of his citadel's observatorium. Pushing the sounds of screaming and the clashing of swords out of his mind, he consulted the complex orrery and scrying mortar and pestle arrangement on his desk, tweaked a silver strand of wire on the Shaishan section of his star chart, and leaned in close. With the brewing mortar upon his desk, a solution of ground celestium and powdered glimmerings revealed a scene of marching armies converging upon a city of midnight black monuments. It was a sight that filled him with mounting dread. Weeks ago, his trusted friend and confidant Voris Starstrike had given in to his own vendetta instead of leading the march upon Nagashizar. In waging war against the cornate armies of Marakar Bloodsky, he had destroyed any chance the two forces had of reaching Nagashizar intact and shattering the works of the great necromancer. Without coherence, without unity, the vitality, talent, and spark of the races of the living would be stymied and ultimately come to nothing. Even now they were held at bay by the serried legions of the dead, who, by contrast, were united under a single indomitable will, and they would pay with their lives. Lord Aros sighed, the weight of a dozen deaths heavy upon him, and strode toward the stairs. He must return to Azir, for the sacrosanct chambers would be mustering for a new war, and his brotherhood had need of him. The sound of armoured feet came from the citadel's spiral staircase as horned, plate-clad killers raced up the stairs. He took up his astral hammers and ran to meet them, knowing full well he went to his death. A robed figure drifted over the cold Shaishan dunes toward the crystal gates, his many mouths muttering in a dozen different languages at once. Bangles chimed on his 4 slender arms, and motes of light like collapsing constellations glimmered on his voluminous hood. He had led many key players in a secret dance, manipulating their actions to music only he could hear. With the other unwitting participants sliding into place at the last, his master would be pleased with the chorus of anarchy that resulted. The demon shapeshifter could feel the energy of potential futures crackling in the air. The greatest change to befall the mortal realms since the coming of the great game was mere moments away. Soon, those energies that mortals sought to tame, and gods too come to that, would be unleashed, never to be truly controlled again. The Death Runner Sparkeye gave the signal, and as one the clan Slinks gave and held their breath. The cool air of Nagashizar above them was filled with a gale of spirit hosts, swirling around the purple-black monoliths that formed the outer skin of the Great Pyramid. The time was nigh. As the shadows of the penultimate obelisk slid over the Slink adepts, Sparkeye shut his eyes. His fellows did the same. In a single instant, he and his shrouded killers shade-stepped from the city into the sky, skitter-leaping to cling to the underside of the giant black monolith, casting gloom on the city below. The huge construction, still rising, led them to within 20 feet of an aperture in the pyramid's side. They leapt one after another through the gap. Glitznik didn't quite make it, his claws scrabbling on the glassy underside of the inverted pyramid before he was snatched away like a rag doll by the gales of etheric power that raged around it. Sparkeye smirked as he climbed up inside the great black pyramid and into the gloom beyond. There was a reason he put Glitznik to the rear. He never really liked the backstabbing little sneak anyway. Nagash of Nehekara felt the fires of anticipation in his chest. Once cold and barely smouldering, they now roared like a furnace. The last time he had felt this way was when he had condemned the lands of his birth to a hideous demise by plague and a glorious eternity of undeath. What a time that had been. Even if it was a world away, it still gave him satisfaction to think of it. Now a new world order was imminent, with Nagash at its very heart. The prophecies had been unfortunate. Many a mortal, deludedly thinking itself more than a mere puppet, had striven to disrupt his plans. Even the gods had united against him. Some had almost succeeded, but they had failed at the last. He had kept Khorne occupied with the red mist in Akshi, releasing the anger of 100 slain death gods through the abyssal fires. Tyrion and Teclis, for all their talk of enlightenment and illumination, kept to their own borders and their obsession with Slaanesh, little realizing their insularity doomed them as much as any overcommitment. Through Arkan and his black disciples, Nagash had set Marathi and Slaanesh against one another. By invading Orgu's 13 kingdoms, he had given the Shadow Queen all the reason she needed to muster armies to fight his pawns, and secretly used them to defy the followers of her ancient foe. Tzeentch had largely stayed out of his way after Nagash's agents, Neferata foremost among them, had engineered the sacrifice of the prophets and soothsayers across the realms. Soon after, he had released the ghost of the dead moon Morslave from its bondage to feast on the secrets of men in the form of Lunagast. The architect of fate had been kept busy ever since. All the while, that fat fool Nurgle was busy trying to redefine the realms themselves, preoccupied with bringing riotous life to lands whose very nature rejected fecundity. Nagash had been only too happy to indulge the Plague Father's parochial obsessions, ceding lands that he could do without, whilst the true battle was fought elsewhere. Gorka Morka had moved against him with surprising speed and efficacy, so much so that Nagash was unsure the Greenskid god did not have a shadowy sponsor working behind him. He had been forced to summon the Black Void of Shaish to steal more time, expending a great deal of grave sand to ensure he had knights enough to complete his great work. It was a risk, but one well taken, and it had paid off. Sigmar's Soul Thief had sent his legions, hurled his meteors in a fit of pique, but was too concerned with consolidating his gains against chaos to see the danger growing under his nose. He called himself the God King now, but it was plain to all he still thought as a warrior, with all the limitations that brought. No amount of hammers and blades could fight against the energies of the cosmos. As for the horned rat, he was too weak to... Nagash felt a ripple in the ether, a breath of unpredictability on the wind. As for the horned rat... A niggling claw of a doubt scratched inside his skull, but by then, it was too late. Sparkeye backflipped like an acrobat, narrowly avoiding being decapitated as a giant wight with glowing green eyes barreled around the corner. The undead revenant's black-bladed axe carved across the corridor in a blur of dark energy. A shadow smoke bomb was already leaving the Death Runner's hand as his image split in two, his doppelganger keeping the massive horned skeleton busy as he slid under the sweep of its double-headed axe. The corridor filled with Ulgu smoke, and Sparkeye's little band of rats slunk past to dart further into the black-walled pyramid. There were only 3 of his fellow assassins left now, the rest having fallen to curse traps or the undead denizens that prowled this labyrinthine maze of arcing passageways and crawl spaces. Few were to claim the wealth, Sparkeye told himself. Few were to steal the glory that was rightfully his. But in his soul, he knew that was pure bravado. The musk of fear was heavy in the air, for the inside of the pyramid did not seem to conform to the laws of the cosmos. All 4 of the Slinker's adepts knew they were hopelessly, irrevocably lost. Then Sparkeye saw something that lit a flicker of hope in his breast. A chamber ahead glowed with a lambent purple energy, illuminating strangely angled walls inscribed with line upon line of tiny runes and pictograms. Some of the eldritch diagrams glowed brighter than others, glimmers of particularly pure black realmstone crystals marking the vital points. The Death Runner's eyes lit up with avarice. He suppressed a shudder, putting it down to the excitement of triumph as he ran his claws along one of the walls. He motioned his fellows forward, then pulled out a 3-bladed Triskele and began to dig a gem-like crystal out of the wall. He put his shoulder to it, and out it came with a pop. The pyramid shuddered, just enough to vibrate Sparkeye's whiskers and make his musk gland tighten unpleasantly. Probably nothing, he thought, taking his Triskele to the next jewel. Born by the spirits of dead kings, the final stone of the Great Black Pyramid slid into place with a soft click. That sound was the death of 1,000 nations. Slowly, impossibly, the Great Black Pyramid began to turn. The gale of spectres that swirled around it turned into a vortex, spinning as hurricanes of Shaishan magic were sucked in to converge upon the megastructure's tip. The inverted pyramid revolved faster and faster as gales of eldritch power were absorbed by its vitrified grave sand. Its stolen energies pulsed as it accelerated to whipping, blurring speed. As Nagashizar and the lands around it were drained of colour, the Nexus Shaishan magic reached a critical point. In a single instant, the soul of every living creature for hundreds of leagues was wrenched free from its body. Rapidly desiccating flesh was blasted to dust, and a chorus of agonized screams echoed across the bleached wasteland. As the Great Black Pyramid became impossibly dense with magical energy, it began to sink into the heart of the realm, not so much drilling into it as buckling, stretching, drawing the lands down around it. The pit beneath it became a sinkhole, an abyss, a hungering whirlpool of energy that gathered in everything around it and drew it ever downwards. With a thunderous boom like the cracking of worlds, the energies of Shaish imploded and from there spread out across the mortal realms in a horrible, shrieking tide. The bow waves of energy that crashed across each realm brought with them a strange and anarchic disruption of the ether, for at the last, Nagash's great ritual had been tainted by the agents of chaos. Everywhere, the spirits of the dead rose from their graves. Twisted geists of all descriptions burst from the mortal clay they had once inhabited as one domain after another was assailed by 1 billion dead souls. Then, as the metaphysical backlash cascaded across the cosmos, the energies of the cataclysm went wild. Laughter rang out in the darkness, maddening and without end. The Shaish necroquake had come, and the mortal realms were changed forever. Yeah. Yeah. That just happened. Did I miss anything? Nope, good. That was the Necroquake. A magical ritual of Nagash to raise the souls of everyone in the mortal realms who died. Have them assail the living, kill all of them, and bring their souls to Nagash, killing the other gods of the dead permanently. The others had failed, but the Skaven at the last interrupted the ritual, broke one stone free and foiled it, causing the magic to go haywire and the predatory spells to appear. Everything died, or did it? So sets up Age of Sigmar 2nd edition. The Necroquake has come, malign sorcery runs rampant across the realms, and the dead are everywhere. Will the Sacrosanct Chamber and the rest of the Pantheon of Order be able to stem the tide of the dead? The onrushing hordes of chaos coming again after being beaten back in the Realm Gate Wars, and the ever-present chaos of destruction. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, and Xenos of all ages. That is where we leave ourselves as Age of Sigmar 2 looms just 4 days away. And with that, I think we'll call it a stream. This has been a really fun stream, having a look at the Nighthaunt and Stormcast that are coming up, having a look at their war scrolls in depth, having a bit of an analysis, and reading the last story before it all goes wrong. Or right, depending on how you see things. It's an amazing story, it's an amazing setup. We cannot thank the Black Library team enough for the malign portent stories that now end as AoS 2 begins. I hope we see something like this again, with little short stories dotted about the place, maybe with the next expansion, who knows. But dark times lie ahead. Are you up to the challenge? Hype is the correct word. Hype is absolutely the correct word. Yes, for me it's au revoir à la France, and it's au revoir to AoS 1 for all of us. The next time you see me, I'll be back in England. It's going to be a lore video for Saturday, and then on Monday I should have some AoS 2 content for you, whether it's an unboxing, a first game. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll decide when I get home at the weekend, depends on what time and things allow. But I do hope you enjoyed the stream, and I do hope you've enjoyed this year, doing a lot of AoS and getting into the new edition while I've been in France. Please do, if you are willing to join the Discord, then I'm hoping Rowan is still here, or someone else in the stream is able, thank you Rowan, to post a link and Rowan's done that for me, which is lovely. So, thank you very much, merci tout le monde, for coming out to the stream and joining me for this last live stream here on Tactica Imperialis before the becoming of AoS 2. If you want to join me in the Discord, I'll be around a little bit later, just want to take care of a couple of things, and then I'll be joining you there. So feel free, if you are new here, to join up, and don't forget to subscribe, because I never plug that. So, thank you all for watching. This has been Tactica Imperialis, and I'll see you in AoS 2. Thank you very much, and goodbye.